It is fall 2024, and we are going to get started with our open house. So we have today your program coordinator, Sunny Kim. Sunny, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Sunny Kim, and I am the program coordinator for our ABA program. I have a PhD in education, specializing in autism spectrum disorders. I received my PhD at UC Santa Barbara, so go Gauchos. I have it, like Savannah shared in this slide, my background work, stems from working in a school setting, clinical setting, home setting. So I do have a nice background working in different environments. And I also manage our Child Life program, very similar field, but different, also in the same regard. And then I am very passionate about one of my current projects I'm working on right now is developing an NDBI naturalistic developmental behavioral intervention program through UC Santa Barbara PACE. And so hopefully we can get that up and running in the next year.
Wonderful. And my name is Savannah Groth, although you might have heard me or seen me around as Savannah Phelan. I recently changed my name. I am also a former gaucho. I attended UC Santa Barbara as an undergrad, and I pursued my master's later on at National University in teaching with an emphasis in applied behavior analysis. I've worked in a variety of settings as well, providing therapy in home, school, telehealth, and clinic. I've provided therapy directly to kiddos ages 2 to 22, but I'm also really passionate about teaching and supervising our budding ABA practitioners at UCSB and also an ongoing consultative support. All right, so when we are getting started talking about ABA, there's a lot of lingo, there are a lot of acronyms, and applied behavior analysis is a really broad field. So if you are new to this field, if this is all Greek to you, if you don't understand all the terminology, you might want to try a training course. We have a few different 40-hour training courses, including a description about what's next, life after school, so what life is like for adults with autism, registered behavior technician training. So this would be for RBTs, anyone who wants to work in the field. The basics of ABA and clinical intervention strategies, which is a great way to kind of dip your toe in and see what types of things are available and what our field is about. And then the introduction to naturalistic developmental behavior intervention. So remember that all of these are training courses, these are standalones, and they are not in sequence with any of our other certification programs. So you can take these anytime. They're available all quarters, fall, winter, spring, and summer. And you can take those online asynchronously. All right, so here is a video with a number of our instructors to give you a better idea of our applied behavior analysis program.
We have a really fantastic applied behavior analysis program here at UCSB. We have some great benefits to the course. We have a very affordable program because our program is all online, which is really helpful. We do have frequent discounts for students who are interested in our program. You have direct contact with your instructors and you can arrange office hours at your leisure. The one-on-one supervision, we're able to offer supervision hours at an asynchronous level, which can be really helpful if you don't have a lot of BCBAs in your area. In the world of applied behavior analysis, it does require that you receive practicum hours in addition to the coursework that you're completing. And so it's a perfect balance for anyone who has a job, a family, or other responsibilities who's trying to pick up their BCBA or BCABA on the way to doing something different. We have a lot of different BCBA exam prep courses available through our university. We are here to help support and help you achieve your goal of becoming a future behavior analyst. Sign up. We look forward to having you take some of our classes. I'd love to be your instructor. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
All right, so you got a chance to see a few of our instructors, and we'll get to talk about what different things we have available. All right, so we have a couple of different tracks here, and I'm going to try and cover the different paths you might want to take to become a behavior analyst. One of those is a BCABA or Board Certified Assistant Behavior Analyst. This is an ideal track for someone who has obtained a bachelor's degree or is concurrently earning that degree and is interested in behavior analysis while living in the United States or Canada. To receive our program completion certificate, you must complete 5 courses with a letter grade of C or better. And you're going to want to look for those BCABA courses. I'm going to have those listed on just a moment. So in general, the BCABA or Board Certified Assistant Behavior Analyst is going to be a certification that you receive through the BACB or Behavior Analysis Certification Board in the United States. The requirements are to complete 225 coursework hours, which we have available at UCSB PACE. Request a coursework attestation from Dr. Kim at the end of your program. And then separately, you're going to want to accrue 1,300 supervised fieldwork hours, with at least 5% of those supervised by a BCBA. If you are working in the field and you have access to a BCBA, that's a great way to get those hours. But if you don't, we also offer virtual supervision through UCSB. So that's something we'll talk about a little later as well, and that's something that you can add to your program. And then, of course, last but not least, you'll need to pass that exam administered by the BACB. So if you want more information, go to their website and learn a little bit more about this profession. A very similar profession that you might want to do, especially if you are outside of the United States or Canada, is the Qualified Autism Service Practitioner Supervisor, or QASPS. So very similar to the BCABA. To be eligible, you need a bachelor's degree. And this program is highly recommended for those living internationally, but you can also complete these courses and get the certification living in the United States or Canada. Different jobs have different requirements, but outside of the US, this is going to be your best bet for certification. So to receive our program completion certificate, once again, you're going to take those same 5 courses with a letter grade of C or better. The QABA board has slightly different recommendations and requirements. So for those coursework hours, you're going to need 188 pre-approved coursework hours, which once again are in line with our coursework. You're going to have to accrue 1,000 supervised fieldwork hours with at least 5% certified by a BCBA or a QBA, Qualified Behavior Analyst. You're going to need to receive a professional recommendation letter and a background attestation. Complete the competencies worksheet, which you can do at the end of your coursework here, and then pass the exam administered by the QABA with a 72% or higher. So remember, if you're living internationally, this is a great option, but also for those domestically in the United States, you can complete this same certification if you have a bachelor's degree. Our courses are similar for both of these professions, both of these tracks. So if you take a look, we have our BC ABA track on the top and our QASPS track on the bottom. You can see that there are 5 courses required for QASP and 6 required for our BC ABA cohort. The little Wi-Fi kind of signals are to tell you what quarter those are offered in. So one really nice thing about our course is that you can start at any time. There's no need to take these classes in order. They don't go one by one. So you're able to pick up and take them at whatever quarter is helpful for you. And you can take them in whatever order you need. If you need to take a quarter off, if you want to take just one class at a time, if you want to take 2, those options are all available to you. I will say most students prefer to take classes one at a time, but again, this is a flexible course and it just depends on what kind of time you have available. To tell you a little bit more about the QBA certification, we have another video.
My name is Dimitri Dimitriou. I'm a doctor, a developmental pediatrician. And here in UCSB, we will be offering you a QBA training program that will lead you up to the certification that you so much want to achieve. What is QBA? It's Qualified Behavior Analyst. It's what BCBA used to be.
The flexibility of our program allows you to attend and participate at the convenient time for you.
Our supervision can be offered in multiple languages. It's very flexible and versatile and can also be given in your time zone. We're here to provide you with the proper training and also give you our experience on the field internationally, online or on-site live. The way to do it, you choose, but we're here for you.
All right, so you can hear that we have so many different options available. We're able to support a lot of international students or students living anywhere that's not Santa Barbara. I've had students who live in many different countries, who live all across our country in the United States. So in many, many time zones, we're able to make this work. And the virtual model is really, really helpful to make sure that we're all able to complete things at the time that is most appropriate. So next up, we're going to talk about our BCBA track. Students for this track and for the one we're going to talk about in just a moment for QBA, will have need to obtain a graduate degree, so a master's degree or higher in any field. It does not have to be related to ABA or even to science. As long as you have your master's degree, you're able to start with these courses. You'll learn everything you need to be a BCBA in this certification program. If you are concurrently earning your graduate degree, you can also apply. So to complete this program, once again, we're going to want to complete our courses with a letter grade of C or better, but we're going to have 7 courses for this track, and we're going to make sure that we also pass something called the competency course. I'll talk about that just a little bit later, but that's an addition specific to UCSB designed to help you pass the exam. In order for students to become a board-certified behavior analyst, you must complete 315 coursework hours, which we have available in our 7 courses, request your coursework attestation, accrue 2,000 supervised fieldwork hours, with at least 5% of those supervised by a BCBA, and then, of course, passing that exam. For more information, you can go onto the BACB's website. It is listed here, and that will give you all that you need to know about how to complete those fieldwork hours and what types of requirements you need. Keep in mind, once again, you can definitely do virtual supervision at UCSB, and it's really helpful to have your professors and your instructors seeing them in that capacity as well. The QBA track is really, really similar. Once again, QBA is a qualified behavior analyst, and you must have already obtained a graduate degree. So remember that these are almost identical credentials, but the QBA is going to be really beneficial for students living internationally or for any student who is going to work in a field where QBA is also accepted in the United States. The QBA requirements are a little bit different, and you can hold both credentials if you'd like. The requirements are to complete 270 pre-approved coursework hours. Once again, our verified coursework sequence will qualify for these. You're going to accrue 1,500 supervised fieldwork hours with at least 5% supervised by a certified BCBA or QBA. You're going to receive that professional recommendation and background attestation. Complete your QBA competencies worksheet, which you can do as soon as you're finished with your coursework, and then pass the exam administered by the QBA. So once again, I have the website down below if that's something you want to take a look at and get a little bit more information about. For both the BCBA and the QBA track, we have the same courses available. You can take a look here. There are a variety, they're taught by different instructors, and they're taught in different quarters. One thing you will notice is that we have 3 courses that are taught every single quarter. This is our competency course, which you take at the very end of your verified course sequence, our supervision, which is optional for anyone who wants to take their supervision virtually through UCSB, and then our study prep program, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, which is another standalone course designed to help you study for the BCBA exam. So completion of all 7 of our courses will meet the requirements for the BACB. However, students must also pass that competency course in order to successfully complete the BCBA program. It's a little different, it's a shorter course, but every student I've talked to has been so happy to have that course so that they can feel a lot more confident going into the exam. So let's talk a little bit more about some of those extra programs. One of our optional program supplements is our supervision course. This course is designed for students who do not have a supervisor available to sign off for their supervised fieldwork. And again, this could be for any of the tracks that we've mentioned. In order to complete the supervision, you must enroll in this class each quarter. So if you want to complete supervision, just do a couple months while you're waiting to get a job, that's an option. If this is something where you maybe lose a supervisor in the field and need to do this for a partial, that's also an option. But keep in mind that if you want to complete all your supervision through UCSB, you should be assigned up for this course every single quarter. We do have supervisors in different time zones and who speak multiple languages that are available to suit your needs. I know I personally have been a supervisor for a student in Australia, a student in Romania. No matter what happens, we can make it work. There's always a time in the day that we can make sure that everyone is available. No one needs to have their meetings at 3 in the morning. While it's recommended that you're working with clients in an ABA capacity to take this course, there are some opportunities available for UCSB to help support you in finding clients to work with. So if you're having trouble finding clients, if you're not working in the field, please reach out and let us know, and we'd love to help support. Live supervision of a session and/or video recording is required monthly by the BACB, so we'll be able to help find ways that you can support students either from a distance or one-to-one in person. This course consists of a mix of group assignments and one-to-one virtual meetings. Typically, what we do is we have a small cohort that goes through supervision at the same time. So you'll see the same students in a small group month after month. You'll complete your different requirements and group projects together, and you'll learn from each other as well from the instructor. Next up, we have our competency course. So remember that our competency course is only required for our BCBA and QBA track, but if you want to take the competency course, I'm sure we can get that available to you if you are in the BCABA or QASPS course. So our competency course is much different than our typical courses. This is absolutely self-paced. There are no lectures, there's no quiz, well, there's no weekly quizzes, but what we do have are 2 half-length mock exams covering the new Test Content Outline 6th edition, or TCO6, which goes into effect on January 1st, 2025. We do have a full-length 4-hour mock exam designed exactly to mirror that BCBA exam. And then once you're completed with all 3 of those, there's a brief oral competency exam with an instructor via Zoom with a verbal review of 5 randomized questions from our task list. This may sound like a lot of work and this may sound really challenging, but I promise after you've taken all of the course sequences one after another, this is a perfect way to get ready to take the exam. Having these 2 half-length mock exams gives you time to really hone in on what areas you need to continue to study for and really figure out, take the test multiple times and figure out what tips and strategies work best for you. Our full-length mock exam is one that I think every single student has told me that they have not done before this course. They'll tell me, oh, I've taken lots of mock tests online, I've looked at test study questions, but I've never sat down for 4 hours. And I promise that practicing just sitting in the same space for 4 hours is a major hurdle on its own. So it's really helpful to have that practice before you take the big exam and really get into that mindset so that you're ready for test taking. And then last but not least, that oral competency exam is just so that you have a one-to-one interaction with the instructor and you're able to talk through some of your ideas. All of the students I've talked to, at least this quarter, have told me that it's their favorite part of the course. It's not nearly as hard, in my opinion, as the mock exams, but it gives you a really good space to chat with your instructor and get some more information. So generally, once a student has met mastery criteria for each of the assessments, they pass the course. This could happen in 2 weeks, this could happen in a month, or you could take the whole 10 weeks of the quarter, whatever works best for your schedule. And then you're able to submit your coursework attestation or those competency worksheets to Dr. Kim. So those forms are required for your BACB application or your QBA applications. So you want to make sure that you get these completed and you have those already. And then for our BCBA track only, we have an additional supplement that we use as homework. These are our learning modules established. They're called the BDS modules through the CBA Learning Modules series. This is a subscription-based learning platform with weekly assignments posted to Canvas on each of your courses, and that can be found in your course syllabus. So these learning modules are brief test-taking modules. So they're anywhere from 4 or 5 questions to maybe even 20 questions. You go through and it's asking you things based on the curricula that you've learned each week and making sure that you're getting that ongoing test-taking practice. Modules receive credit based on your score, and you're able to retake them. So this is something that you can continue to take as much time as you want to each week. And then you want to make sure that if you're reading the fine print, the reason that we work with the CBA Learning Module series is because they are the premier BCBA and BCABA curriculum supplement tools. This exam tool has a 98.5% pass rate, which means if you complete all of the modules for the entire learning-based subscription platform, and then you sit for the BCBA exam, there is a 98.5% chance that you will pass the test. They do have a money-back guarantee, so if you do not pass for any reason after completing the series, you're welcome to retake for free. So many students tell us this is the only study tool you need. It is a lot of homework and it is a lot of effort. I did these as a grad student as well, but I do find that they're really helpful and we find that students really enjoy having this to look back on and to use as a study tool. All right, last but not least, we get this question a lot. What is pricing like? So this is a list from our website. You can see we are very transparent about pricing at UCSB. We are priced very competitively for all of the other online programs, and this is something where hopefully you can take, again, piecemeal, start at any time, start at any quarter. Each 10 weeks, you have another opportunity to get back into it. And you can see what our fees are. Again, you don't need to pay for all of these things at once. This is just pay as you go. And there's even a 25% discount available for any current UCSB undergrad students who'd like to join our course. Our last optional program supplement is our study prep program. So this is completely separate from our course. You could take this study prep program even if you completed your verified course sequence with a different school. This is designed for students who want additional support studying for the BCBA or BCABA exams. This course is open to new and returning PACE students. So again, don't feel like there's any reason why you couldn't join. I definitely do recommend it for someone who has already completed their verified course sequence, just because it'll be a little bit more helpful to study for those test questions if you already have a good base of understanding. Our study prep program is our only program that is shorter than a full quarter. So this is a 6-week course with a pre-test and post-test with a full-length mock exam and 4 weekly live lectures discussing and talking task list items, most missed exam questions, and opportunities for Q&A with your instructor. So this means that you choose this course and then we'll tell you the time that it will be broadcast live, so you can choose one that fits best for your schedule and your time zone, and you'll be able to jump in with a few peers, listen to the lecture, and then chat with your instructor in real time. And this is really helpful, and this is really something beneficial that UCSB offers because a lot of students struggle with these mock exams and want to really pick the instructor's brain about each question, and this gives you that opportunity to do so. So if you've ever wanted a BCBA at your disposal, this is a really great opportunity for you. There are also weekly pre-recorded mini lessons with bite-sized content about tricky topics, 10 to 15-minute lessons that you can watch over and review, optional homework tasks to support your exam study. Our program supplements are all pass-fail courses, so this is not one where you're going to be putting in a ton of hours of homework unless you want to do so. You can retake this course as many times as you like. This is all about preparing for the exam and making sure that you are getting your studying in. There's a live discussion board as well to discuss and study with your cohort. Usually our class sizes are pretty small, maybe 10 students, so that there's a lot of ways that you can get to know each other and maybe even create some online study groups together. And of course, at the end, you have your post-test, that full-length mock exam, to really measure how much you've learned over the course of the 6 weeks. So keep that in mind if that's something you want to come back to or start with. If you've already got through the verified course sequence, this would be a great course for you. We also have quarterly webinars. This is something wonderful that UCSB puts on. Our ABA program has one each quarter, so 4 per year, that are absolutely free to attend. These ongoing webinars allow students to hear different perspectives and get insight into the applied nature of our work outside the classroom. We have many different webinar topics, learning from an autistic BCBA, learning about acceptance and commitment training or ACT. We've had students come up and talk. We have had international spotlights. We've had discussion from some of our kiddos who have been in therapy. And so it's a really great way to kind of get new perspectives and listen to new and exciting information. I do want to share a couple of tips for success. Each quarter, my students ask me, what is the best way to get an A in the class? And so one thing that I've done is ask my students who get A's and who do well, what do they feel works and what doesn't work? So some of our tips that we've accumulated over the years are to set calendar reminders for all due dates in your own time zone. All of our due dates, of course, are in Pacific Standard Time for UC Santa Barbara, but if you are in a different time zone, it can be really helpful to set your calendar reminders to make sure that you know how to translate those to your own time zone. You want to set aside time weekly to review our course content and complete assignments. I find that the students who are most successful program this into their schedule, just as if it was a class in the real classroom. They might say, okay, on Tuesday nights, I review the lecture. On Thursday mornings, I do the readings. And on Sundays, I complete my quiz. So having that time set aside really helps for time management and gives you the time that you need to get through the material. Another tip for success would be to attend office hours sessions. Your instructors will have once a week office hour sessions live on Zoom that you can join. You can also set up a one-to-one meeting at a time that works best for you for more in-depth discussions. I do find that very few students use that resource, and the ones who do, I really get to know better and we get so much more information. It can be really helpful to hear, even if it's not about the course that you're taking. I've had students set up a one-to-one meeting to talk to me about job opportunities or to talk to me about the field or to ask more in-depth questions about how to, become an instructor, how to become a BCBA. All those conversations are really helpful and you should really use those tools at your disposal. Completing review readings ahead of reviewing lecture videos is a really, really big tip. Watching those lecture videos cold can be a little challenging, so making sure that you are using all the tools available to you in the virtual setting, pausing, rewinding, putting captions on, taking notes, and making sure that you've done your pre-reading so that you get the most out of each lecture is really helpful. And then, of course, before a quiz begins, prepare all of your materials. Our quizzes are timed, and we encourage students to take them, take the maximum amount of time or a whole hour to sit through these quizzes, which can include looking through your notes, making sure that you have all the information you need, and really answering each question in depth. So always make sure to take your time and remember that the virtual course option really gives you a lot of different tools in your toolbox than you might have in a traditional classroom. So as a review, the perks of our program, our classes are virtual and they're totally asynchronous, allowing students to set their own schedule. If you are working in the field, if you have a family, if you are in a different time zone, this asynchronous schedule is really critical to making sure that you're allowed to get this course info at the best time for you. I've had students who wait till their kids go to sleep to do their readings and watch their lectures. I've had people take, the whole weekend to do this because their week is really busy or vice versa. And it's really, really convenient to be able to have that asynchronous schedule and really set your own time schedule. We have seasoned BCBA instructors with real industry experience and diverse backgrounds. It's really helpful having multiple instructors throughout your course sequence that you're able to get to know different people and hear about different backgrounds and how people apply our knowledge. Your instructors are available via email, live weekly office hour sessions, or by one-to-one appointment for support. We have quarterly webinars as we discuss on a variety of current topics, free for all students, and they are recorded if you would need to watch later. Of course, if you are looking to get your supervision hours, almost everyone in one of these tracks is, and you don't have a supervisor, it is no problem. UCSB PACE has our standalone supervision course open to students who need support in fulfilling those supervised fieldwork hours. And then, of course, support in passing the big exam. All of these courses are really helpful and really beneficial, but we are all looking towards that end goal of passing an exam to be certified to practice in the field. Our competency course and study prep course allow students opportunities to hone their test taking skills and really make sure that they're prepared before they sit for those exams. All right, any questions?
Savannah, I think you did such a great job of summarizing the needs. We have a person interested in enrolling for the supervision hours. How will the gaps between the quarters and the supervision class work? How long does it take to accumulate the 2,000 hours if enrolled in the supervision class continuously?
Great question. So to kind of break that down, our quarters do a really good job of they start and stop almost exclusively in the same month. So when we have our students completing back-to-back quarters, we make sure that we plan ahead for those breaks. For example, right now we're coming upon our winter break. So if I had a student who is in supervision right now, I would still continue to meet with them, make sure that we scheduled our times around those holidays, and then just continue our service so that when we start school back up again on the 8th of January, we'd be able to continue. When you take your courses back to back to back, the quickest you typically get through your 2,000 hours is about a year and a half. For this reason, we often recommend students take just one course per quarter so that they're able to finish in about 7 quarters and make sure that they're able to take their time with the content and do that at the same time as their supervision. Many students take about 2 years to get through their supervision. I know I did. Sometimes it's not easy to max out each and every month depending on what type of work you do. I know when I was working as a one-to-one, I was trying to get my supervision hours. I worked in schools primarily. So in the summers, it was hard for me to meet those 130-hour max per month. That being said, depending on your work setting, you might be able to blow through those a lot quicker. I know I have a lot of students who have worked in different settings, students who are teachers, speech pathologists, who work in different capacities with students or children, and they're able to get those hours typically.
I will say, like, the reason why it does take long is because BACB has put restrictions in terms of how many hours you could accrue per month. So I think minimum you need 20 hours, and if you only did the minimum, it would take you forever. But the maximum amount of hours you could accrue is 130 hours. So even if you are working full time, 40 hours a week, and let's say there's 4 weeks, that's like 160. But per BACB, they put restrictions, so it does take about 7 quarters.
Yep. That's always something that I think students are frustrated if they don't count out ahead of time. So it's really good to be planning that ahead and to really set your ideas on a very realistic timeline.
I don't think we have any other questions. I will share that with the QBA track, students interested in the QBA program, it is exciting because the state of Texas just passed their legislation where they are now accepting people with their QBA certification as equivalent to, BCBA. So what that means is if you are in the healthcare industry and you are supporting individuals with autism and the funding source is insurance, the state of Texas will now allow you to be a licensed, behavior analyst, either with a BCBA or a QBA certification. So it's very exciting. And I think more states are now moving towards that process where they are also including QB. It's either BCBA or QBA, so it's nice to have the options.
Absolutely. That's great to hear. And
Yep.
state by state, these regulations change all the time. So make sure that you keep an eye out for your individual state and where you live.
But I don't think we have any other questions. Yes, thank you, Savannah. Winter quarter does January 8th. And so we encourage you guys to sign up prior to this deadline. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. We will have this information available in our courses for winter quarter, as well as we will have this information, just on our YouTube channel so that students are able to access this information in case you missed the webinar. Otherwise, we hope you have a wonderful holiday season and we will see you in 2025.
Sunny, we have one more question. We want to know what the difference is between QBA and BCBA certifications.
Great question. Do you want to answer that, Savannah, or?
Sure. So typically, the BCBA and QBA are very, very similar. As Sunny was describing, in some states, they are taking both certifications to be able to work in different settings. But the primary difference is if you do live outside of the United States, the QBA is going to be the exam that you can take, and typically the certification that is recognized. So if you do not live in the United States, I would strongly recommend taking a look at the QBA certification and where they practice. They also they have test examinations in different languages, which can be really helpful for students for whom English is not their first language. So take a look and see if that aligns a little bit better with the areas you're going to work in. If you are in the United States, the BCBA is the typical certification, but that's not to say that the QBA is not beneficial or that you couldn't hold both certifications. So I would say it really depends on where you live and what setting you're trying to work in.
And I will also say that for some students, like I just met with a student earlier today, and she is up in Oregon, and she decided to do the QBA route. Even though in the state of Oregon, it's not recognized just yet, but her rationale behind it was the requirements for QBA is not as stringent, is not as rigorous as the BCBA track. So in terms of just the field work hours, it's 1,500 hours over 2,000 hours. And so depending on where you are, if you are in a state where they accept either BCBA or QBA, it comes to, does it really matter? Probably not. So, I would do whichever board sounds, more appealing to you, kind of do your due diligence in looking at both, the QABA board as well as the BACB in terms of their requirements. If you are international, like Savannah said, absolutely QBA is the route to go. And yeah, so there's just like little differences. QBA track, they do have more of an emphasis in autism. Part of that is because, when they did their research, about 80% of practitioners in the field of behavior analysis work with individuals with autism. So they did place a bit more of an emphasis on autism spectrum disorders. So some of the test questions will be specifically pertaining to autism versus BACB. They don't have that specific requirement. So there are little differences like that. But nonetheless, like Savannah said, our courses will cover all of the coursework requirements for either track.